Today is the day I enter the Sarah J Maas universe. My name is Charlotte. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I am so excited to share my ACOTAR Sarah J Maas universe experience with you. I am yet to read a Sarah J Maas book, and I'm going to start with ACOTAR. So this is going to be a reading vlog where we read this whole series together. It's going to be full spoilers because I asked the people of TikTok. The people of TikTok wanted full spoilers. So we're going to get all my thoughts, all my opinions, all spoilers included. So if you haven't read this series and you do want to and you don't want it spoiled for you, this is your warning that this is not the video for you. Come back when you have read these books. But yeah, so obviously we are going to be starting with ACOTAR Thorns and Roses. Guys, I'm so obsessed with how floppy these books are. It's going to make them so much more of an enjoyable read. Okay, it is the next day. I'm just started reading chapter 7. We have been introduced to Tamlin. I have managed to escape most spoilers for this series, but I know that we are not going to like Tamlin by book 2, because I remember seeing a TikTok where someone asked Rebecca Yarros, like, is Xaden going to get Tamlin treatment? So I know that I'm not going to like him soon. I don't know anything else about him. He's just had his name introduced. Okay, so I am officially at the halfway point. I'm just over halfway. I'm on chapter 25. We've had the kiss between Tamlin and Feyre. The romance between them is really weird. Like, that is one thing that I'm finding just odd. I'm so confused by it, but everyone says the first book's a bit weird and then it gets better. So I've got literally 200 pages left. It is like 7 p.m. It's 7:30. So let's try and finish this tonight. We've just gotten to the formal introduction of Rysand. I have just read the chapter where we find out about the curse. I was not expecting that at all. Like, there was no part of me. Maybe I'm just really dumb and like not new to like I'm so new to fantasy. But I was not expecting that. What the fuck? I literally, like, the entire time I was reading that, and Alice, I don't know how you say her name, was like talking about the curse. I was like, I've never, like, the whole thing, I was like gobsmacked. Okay, so I'm going to give you my full thoughts tomorrow because it's midnight, but I'm reading the next part, like, for the next book, and it says, this is what happens when you leave your mental shields down. Alexa, play Exile. I think I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. It's giving Fourth Wing, it's giving Xaden. Okay, it's been nearly 24 hours. Let's articulate my thoughts on this book. So I went into this firstly knowing that, like, everyone was like, the first one isn't that great, it gets better, and I'm glad that I knew that going into it, because I enjoyed the writing style, but like, I found Feyre and Tamlin's romance just like, there was no depth to it. Like, I didn't really believe it. Like, I found it really hard to believe that she would do all of the things that she did, like going through the trials, going through back into Priathra, I don't know how you say it, going back into that world. Like, I don't know, I found it like hard to believe that she would do that because I wasn't getting those vibes from their relation. Like, I don't know, they seem to go from like barely speaking to a kiss to, oh, we're in love. Like, I don't understand when or where it happened. And then the ending, I was expecting it would make me want more. Like, normally when I read a fantasy, especially a fantasy that is in a series, the ending has always left me wanting more, and it just didn't. Like, I was racing through the end of this book because I was like, oh, I'm gonna finish it and want to start the next one. And then I finished this one, I was like, oh, it's been like tied up in a nice little bow. It reads like a standalone. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed by this. Like, I enjoy the world, I enjoyed the writing, I just don't think this one is worth the hype. Like, I'm not getting it so far. I don't feel, I think if I didn't know and I didn't have so many people telling me how good book 2 was, I wouldn't have the desire to pick up book 2. If I'd have read this of my own accord, of never ever seeing anything about these books before, I don't think I'd have it to go and pick up the second book. Actually, one thing that is kind of making me intrigued for the second book is the Ryzan stuff. But again, I think it's stuff that I've seen on TikTok has made me excited for that. So yeah, that is my thoughts on the first book. But let's get into A Court of Mist and Fury and hope I think more highly of it.
She likes staying up till 3, reading books of fantasy, getting lost in other worlds only she can see. She likes singing Paramore, playing drums on my dashboard. Every note she hits with ease, I listen forevermore. It's been a long, long day in the sun.
Okay, so I am on page 214, like this half far through. I really don't get the hype with this series. I'm really struggling with it. I'm finding it boring. Like, it just feels like no plot, just vibes. And like, I know it's building to a bigger plot, but it very much just feels like just vibing. Like, there's nothing going on. And ACOTAR was the same. Like, it was no plot, just vibes, but the vibes aren't strong enough. Like, so I thought my issue with ACOTAR was that I just didn't believe the romance, and I was like, oh, I think that's because I know, like, everyone chats shit about Tamlin. So I was like, okay, it's probably just because, like, I've seen some kind of spoilers, but I don't really feel connected to these characters, like, at all. Like, especially for a first person, like, POV. Normally you feel a little bit more, like, I'm gonna take my glasses off because you can see it's glare. But yeah, like, normally you feel a little bit more connected, there's a little bit more to it, but I don't know, there's something missing, but I don't know what it is. But yeah, I'm not, like, loving this series, but I really want to push through. Like, I want to read them all just so I know what they're like, but they're so long, and like, I'm just not wanting to read it. I'm not wanting to reach for it. Like, I didn't start reading today until like 9 p.m. That's not like me. Okay, I cannot remember the last time I filmed for this video, but I'm finally just under halfway through. I'm at page 300, so I'm like 10 pages off halfway through A Court of Mist and Fury. It's been a slog with this book. I have not been enjoying it. I can't remember what I last spoke about. It wasn't doing it for me. There wasn't enough romance, and that was the thing that I realised was missing for me, but that has started to pick up around the 300 mark. Like, I do think it is giving, it's me right now, where we're at right now, it's very much reminding me, like, it's Labyrinth by Taylor Swift coded, you know. Like, I thought the plane was going round, but it was going down, but now it's coming right around. Like, you know, that's the vibe I'm getting from this. So yeah, I'm enjoying it a bit more. I also think that I might have been in a slump. I really think I might have been in a slump because this week I've had a really busy week, so I haven't been able to read a lot. Like every day I've been able to read like 10 to 20 pages, so I think that's kind of had about, there even been days when I haven't been able to read. Like basically today's Saturday, last Saturday I got up to like page 220 and today I'm on page 300, so throughout the week I really have not read that much. But yeah, I definitely think I must have been in like a bit of a slump basically, and I have basically, from not reading, I've basically pulled myself out of the slump, and yeah, I am enjoying this a lot more now, so I am excited to see where this goes. Officially onto the last 120 pages. So far I'm actually really enjoying it now, like really enjoying it, so that is good. Very happy to be enjoying it. The only thing I will say is, so I have obviously, I think, just found out about Rysand and Feyre having like a mating bond, like they're bonded, or no, they're each other's mates. Mating bond, is that what it's called? I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming in book one. I feel like that was the most obvious thing ever. As soon as they started talking about the mating bond in book one, and then they started talking about how her and Rysand had a bond, and that she was waiting to feel like Tamlin's mate. Like, it was just very obvious to me that she was going to be Rysand's mate and like have a Rysand's mate basically. Like, it was super obvious to me. Obviously, like, I did go into these books knowing that Rysand was going to become the love interest, and maybe that's why I felt it. But yeah, it just felt super obvious, and like, I don't know, it's kind of a, I don't want to say yeah, it was just obvious. Like, I knew that was what was going to happen. I wasn't surprised, and it felt like maybe I should have been surprised in that moment. I've just made the biggest hot chocolate, can't wait. But I've just finished A Court of Mist and Fury. I'm so annoyed that my camera stopped filming when I was on, like, it was right before we go into chapter 68, which goes into Rysand's POV. And I'm so annoyed because by reactions, oh my god, I was not expecting for him to have made Feyre High Lady of the Night Court. I was not expecting that. I feel like, honestly, the last like 100 to like 50 pages of this book completely made it. Like, yeah, I was shook. I was really not expecting that. And oh my god, when Elaine gets turned and Lucian is like, she's my mate, I was not expecting that. So yeah, I'm gonna start A Court of Wings and Ruin now. A lot of people have told me that, again, it's got a really slow start, but yeah, I like more of the characters now. I feel more involved with them than I did when I started this. I really didn't feel involved with these characters when I started this. I think, like, I don't know, I think I said when I finished ACOTAR, the romance between Feyre and Tamlin never felt convincing to me. It never felt believable. It never felt like they had chemistry. So I just never felt involved with them. And then the way it was, like, I found that it was really neatly tied up at the end, whereas this, it kind of feels tied up at the end, but obviously, like, we know that there is easily more. Like, there's questions, there's what is going to happen next. So yeah, I'm hoping the next one's a little bit more plot driven. I understand why a lot of this wasn't plot driven, because obviously for so much of it we are dealing with Feyre's mental health struggles, which was something that I found really interesting. There was a quote that I really liked. Let me find it. It is when she's talking about reading. She said, "But it had filled my time, given me quiet, steadfast company with those characters who did not exist and never would, but somehow made me feel less ... alone." I really like that, and I do think it's really interesting. Like, we're going through Feyre's mental health issues, like the PTSD that she is obviously struggling with from being under the mountain. Like, I understand why the start of it was slow, and it kind of makes sense with how she was feeling, and obviously it makes sense why she was, like, so consumed by herself, because, like, her mental health was so, like, she was so poorly. But yeah, I am glad that that turned around, because I don't know, as like relatable as it is in like that sense, it doesn't always make for good reading, you know. But anyway, my hot chocolate is melting. It's already shrunk so much, so I'm gonna, so much of it just melted, you know, like it was like an iceberg. But yeah, I'm gonna get all set up and start ACOTAR. I'm assuming this is gonna be the war book. So I am reading A Court of Wings and Ruin. I swapped to reading on my Kindle, which obviously I do have the physical copies, but I started reading the physical copy and it was so heavy. It was so heavy, which I know is such a poor excuse. But yeah, I was really struggling to like open the pages because of how it was. So I bit the bullet and went for it on my Kindle, and I am smashing through it on my Kindle. I definitely read so much faster on my Kindle. I am really enjoying this one. This is my favourite one so far. Like, this is the first one in the series where like I'm only 22% of the way through. Yeah, like I'm 22% of the way through, and this is the first time where I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, I am really enjoying this book. This is, yeah, the best so far. I actually feel connected to all of the characters for the first time in a while. First time in the series. I really like that Lucian is back. I really like Lucian. Like, I feel like even in the first book I was like, I really like him. There's something about him that I really like. I hope that nothing bad happens to the man. I will cry. So they have just got back to the Night Court. Feyre has been reunited with Rhys. I don't know if it's meant to be pronounced Rice or Reese when it's separate to the and part, like rice and, because when it's said together it's rice and, right? But I always just call him Reese because that is how you spell Reese in the UK. But anyway, so yeah, I'm just at that part. They've just gone to meet Nesta and Elaine, and yeah, just kind of good vibes at the moment. It definitely feels more plot driven, but yeah, anyway, much more I am enjoying A Court of Wings and Ruin a lot more. Okay, prediction. My hair is crazy. What on earth is that? Anyway, prediction. I'm 25% of the way through on page 175. I am predicting that Cassian and Nesta are mates 100%. Just the way that they're talking, or that he talks about her, the anger they have, I'm calling that they're mates of some kind. Like, it just seems a bit obvious in the same way that it felt really obvious that Rhys and Feyre were going to be mates. I am officially at the halfway point with A Court of Wings and Ruin. Well, 50% through. It's saying I have 7 hours of reading left, and it's 5 PM, and let me tell you, I am tempted to not do anything. So I have at the start of chapter 35, but the last thing that I read was Hybern has attacked the Summer Court. They lay siege to Adria. I don't know how to say any of the words in this book. You know, like, you know the video, like the sound of TikToks, it's like, and it's got like the dancing music. So again, I can't say it, even though I listen to the sound all the time. But basically Summer Court is now under attack. Lucian has just gone to go and find this random queen. We know that Elaine is it pronounced Sia? Because it's just Sia, like there's not enough E's, there's not enough letters. But obviously she can see the future, or like fortunes or something. So yeah, I am at the halfway point, and honestly all I want to do is read. But I have promised my friend I will go to the gym tonight, so the book is going down, but I think I'm going to bring the book with me so I can bring my Kindle with me, and do some cardio and read whilst I do cardio, because this is the most invested in this series I've been. For some reason I was like, oh, this is the last one. I don't know why. The whole time I've been reading it today, I have to keep reminding myself that like I have another 2 books after this. I'm desperate to finish this book now. Like, I am so desperate to know what happens. Like, yeah, I'm wondering if we're actually going to get the war in this book, or or if the war doesn't actually happen in the books that are out, because obviously there's so many books that in this series that aren't published yet. I'm kind of like, oh, is everything really going to kick off in the books that haven't even come out yet? Because of how slow it's even been getting to the war. Like, I kind of assumed the war was going to happen in Court of Mist and Fury, so for it to have not happened yet, I'm kind of like, oh, like, do we never get to see the war? Like, is she still writing it? I guess time will tell. Time will tell. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot more now. I'm definitely getting the hype. I don't think it's a 5-star series for me. It's just, the books are just a bit too long, like, and I don't think they need to be as long as they are. There's a lot that I'm skim reading because I'm like, this is just boring and irrelevant. But yeah, I guess some of the things that I'm finding boring are like the character interactions, and I just think it's because there's so many characters, I don't feel like a true connection to like all of the characters because there's just so many of them, which is something I found in Iron Flame as well. Anything where there's just a lot of characters, I just don't care about half of them. Let's do an update. So I am 75, I think, % of the way through. 74. No, my Kindle needs charging. I wanted to read. I'm on 74% of the way through. So we have had, they went to see Elaine's ex-fiance, and then jury room was there, and we found out the jury room was obviously like going to be on our side. That felt predictable. Like, I didn't really buy into the fact that jury room was suddenly on Hyben's side. Like, he's still human. Why? Like I never really brought into that. There's so much like tension between Nesta and Cassian. Them being a mating bond, like having a bond, feels like being mates even, feels so obvious, and like, do you know what I mean? Like, it was such a surprise when Elaine had a bond to Lucian, but it just seems so fake. I don't know, like, unpredictable. But then I really like the idea of those two together, like the moments we're getting with them. I like it a lot. So we've just had the invasion of Summer Court, and then they were in a war in Winter Court, and Feyre now wants to summon a Suriel to see what is actually going on. That's where I'm up to. This is my favourite book so far of the series. I'm enjoying it a lot more. The one thing with these books is they're just so long, so much happens. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so much more. I don't know if the reason I'm enjoying it more is because I'm not working. I've got a lot more time to put into reading. Whereas the other two, I was quite busy when I started those. I didn't have a huge amount of time to get into reading them. But yeah, I'm gonna finish that today. I've got 3 hours left of reading. So my plan is to finish it this morning, get some bits done this afternoon, and then pick up A Court of Frost and Starlight. And based off of how quickly I've been reading this one, I think it will take me around 4 hours to read. So maybe finish that tonight or tomorrow morning, which would be nice. Okay, I've just finished the bit where Moore comes out to Feyre, and I was literally crying. That bit, it was so emotional. I really wasn't expecting that. Oh, it made me so sad. Like, obviously, like, her whole backstory of like the way her family saw her as like just for breeding and things like that, like, that's so sad. And then to know that like it wasn't just that she wanted to be free, it was actually that she was gay. Like, oh my god, it literally, it shattered my heart. Like, I was fully crying. I love this book. This book is so good. This is so good. Okay, it has been a minute since I last updated. I have finished ACOTAR, loved it. Loved ACOTAR, favourite book in the series so far. This made me fall in love with the characters, this made me feel involved with the characters. Every part of it, I was rooting for them, like, yeah, this is the book that made me actually really start to love and enjoy this series. Adored it. Like, I was crying at moments, I was laughing at moments. The thing that was good with this as well is, like, I hadn't really seen many spoilers, so I knew that A Court of Silver Flames was gonna be from, like, Nesta's perspective. So when Rhys died, I fully thought that he was dead. I was like, oh my god, he's not coming back. Like, really emotional. Like, it was... I'm just gonna take that tab off because I didn't end up tabbing anything in this book because I read it on Kindle. But yeah, I loved it. I really enjoyed this book. I'm trying to think of my thoughts. I'm gonna change my star rating of this actually, because I gave it a 5-star and now I can't really remember anything that happened apart from Moore came out, Amren was fully gonna die, like, she was giving herself up for the, like, but then she also betrayed Feyre. That really confused me because, like, she'd been lying and she made, like, I didn't get that. Obviously their dad, oh my god, when their dad appeared, I was sobbing my eyes out at him being, like, the leader of this fleet in the war. Also, how funny is, I think the last time I did a speaking update, I was like, I don't know if we're even going to get the war in this book. Like, maybe they're just going to keep longing it out, and then, like, 20 pages later, the war happened. Or maybe I spoke about this already. Anyway, yeah, it was... I did really enjoy this a lot. I think I gave this 5 stars. I think I might downgrade it to 4.5. Just because I feel like a 5-star book is a book that I think about all the time, and I've not really thought about this since I finished it. And I moved on to the next book. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. This is the book that really made me feel, like, bonded to the characters. Like, I feel attached to them all now. I care about them all now. I care what happens to them now. Which made this a really enjoyable read. I read this in one go. This is the first book I've ever read in one go. I'm quite proud of myself. Obviously it's only like 230 pages, but I'm proud of myself for getting through this in one go. I like this. I like this a lot. I like where it was in the series because actually I was kind of at a point where I was like, I kind of need a filler book. Like, this is a heavy book. Like, the whole last half of it, we're in a war. And, like, it is literally, like, you get to the halfway point and then it's just war. Like, it's 300 pages of, 350 pages of war. Like, it's intense. It's so intense. So I was like, I like, because that's a whole book. 350 pages, that's a book. So I was like, I need like some respite. And that's exactly what this gave me. And it was perfect. And it was so nice. It was so nice to still be with the characters because these books have a lot of characters. The series has a lot of characters. And obviously I haven't felt super connected to all of them all of the time. So one thing that I was concerned about was if I have a break, I didn't feel like I would be able to easily pick back up. But this was perfect. It gave me the respite that I needed. I finished it in one night, and then actually yesterday I didn't really have any reading time, so it was just perfect. Really enjoyed this one. I just found it so cute. Like, you know, the scenes that we get, like the painting stuff that Feyre's doing, like, we really see her healing. And it was I like how it kind of started to lead on to Nesta's story, because I have started A Court of Silver Flames. I'm only 12 pages in because I started it last night and I was like, I'm too tired for this. But yeah, I liked how this led into everything really nicely. Like, we got set up because there's obviously things in this that are kind of important to know that would have just made this even longer, and this is already a long book. It's 750 pages, like, so yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. And then, as I said, I'm 12 pages into this. I'm reading it on my Kindle again because it's too thick. I can't hold it. The one thing that I don't really like about this at the moment is the fact it's written in third person, and actually that's one thing that I didn't like about this, is because when you're in Feyre and Rysand's POV, you're in first person, but then as soon as it went to like Mor or Cassian's POV, or I think that was a bit of Nesta's POV, it changed to third person, and I was like, I don't really get that. And then this book is in third person as well. Like, I don't get why we're suddenly changing. Like, is Feyre writing these as well? Like, I don't get it. I feel like we are overdue an update of A Court of Silver Flames. I have finally reached the halfway point. It's Tuesday, so I reached the halfway point last night. I started this book, well, I read 10 pages on Thursday. Guys, I hate it. If I hadn't have come so far, if this wasn't the last book that's out, I would have DNF'd it. So many things have, like, why is one? Okay, let's talk about this logically. So many things have made me cringe in this book. One, I hate relationships born out of characters just somehow accidentally fucking. And then also, what in the twilight is going on with Feyre and Rhys's baby? Like, oh, it has wings. She's gonna die. I'm sorry, I've seen this film before and I didn't like the ending. Like, I don't need to do that again. If someone fucking comes into this book and imprints on that fucking baby, I'm gonna launch it out of my window, like, not even kidding. And then, oh my god, they made it so much worse when Nesta was scurrying, whatever it's called, I don't know. And to get her out of it, Cassian kisses her. Like, what the fuck? What on earth? I just... It hurts. And like, you know, after ACOTAR, after A Court of Frost and Starlight, I was really enjoying this series and I was like, do you know what? I agree with the girlies were right. Enter. I'm so disappointed in this book because I knew Nesta's POV was coming. Like, I knew that this book was in Nesta's POV and I really liked Nesta. Throughout all of the books, I have really liked Nesta as a character. There's something about her that I just really liked. I liked the fact that she was a bit of a bitch. Like, I liked the fact that, like, she's giving anti-hero. Like, I liked that. I liked that she was different. And I was like, it's quite obvious, like, that she's obviously gone through something. Like, I always found it obvious that, like, there was going to be a deeper story to it. And, like, I was really excited to experience her deeper story in this book. And it's just been a bit of a disappointment. Like, I don't really feel like, you know, we've gotten that. No, I like the female friendships in this. Like, I do really like the scenes we have where Nesta is building these female friendships, but at the same time those scenes are so repetitive. Like, there's only so many training scenes I can go through. Like, I feel like in all of the other books there's been multiple plots to them, and then this is just like training scene, Nesta and Cassian do something, training scene, Nesta and Cassian, training scene, Nesta and Cassian, training scene, everyone, training scene, library scene. Like, it's the last 300 pages have all been the same. Like, I'm just, honestly, like, I'm so close to DNFing. Like I keep saying, if this wasn't the last book I would have DNF'd and given up. And I know that there's more books coming out because people keep tagging me in it on TikTok, and I don't think I will be continuing the series unless this has an ending where I'm like, I need to find out what happens next, because I can't imagine a world where I actually care about what happens next right now. And I really hope the next speaking clip is me coming back around on that, because right now I'm just disappointed. And I was really excited. I really wanted to do all of the SJM universe, and after this, like, I just don't want to, because there's such long books and that, like, it's expensive. There are a lot of books in each series, and I'm like, I just don't think I physically, mentally have it in me. But I am going to try and finish this book. So I've actually, last night I started picking up the physical copy to see if that helped, because what I was doing was I was like, oh, I feel like I've been reading for so long, and then I would look at how many minutes I had left on my Kindle and I'd have like 15, and I would have read 15 minutes, and I was like, can't do this anymore.
My Kindle says I'm 54% of the way through, and apparently I've got 5 hours and 40 minutes left, which is 5 hours and 40 minutes too long, but you know, I'm gonna try and get through it. It's like 10:30, so please excuse the state of me. But I am slowly enjoying this a little bit more now. One thing that I really like about Sarah J Maas's writing is the way that, like, even in fantasies, she does give her characters like mental health issues, and the way that she discusses them is so interesting. Obviously, like in ACOTAR, Feyre was so depressed, and now we're kind of seeing Nesta go through the same thing, and like I just think the way that like SGM discusses it is so interesting, and it's definitely something that like you don't really see in a lot of books, especially not fantasies. Well, none of the fantasies I've read have ever really touched on like more serious, like real issues, and I'm enjoying that. Like, I'm enjoying that a lot. I think, you know, it definitely, like, every time it's been done, it's made me relate to the characters a lot more, and it's done in like a really clever way, in like a very genuine way, and yeah, I like it. I'm officially into the final 100 pages of ACOTAR. I'm on page 660, so I've got 90 pages left. So one, obviously, so obvious that Cassian and Nesta were gonna become mates. Like, it was just so obvious since like Aqua War. Like, I knew that was happening. I liked that scene though. It was a nice scene. I've really been enjoying like the female friendship scenes, especially between like Nesta, Emery and Gwen. I feel like we don't really often get books that have a strong focus on female friendships. Like, I was thinking about, and I was looking at kind of the other books on my shelves, and we kind of get it in like the Chestnut Spring series, but even then, like, it's normally just in their little group chats. We kind of get it in, yeah, actually no, I don't think I've ever read a book with like these strong female friendships, and it's really nice to read. It's really nice to read about. Right now, my only issue with this book, I am enjoying it a lot more now. I just think it should have been shorter. If this book was the length of like ACOTAR, like the first one, it would have been fantastic. It would have been a really good book, but like where the first half was so repetitive, it just made it so boring. But yeah, I'm enjoying it now. I'm excited to see where it goes. They're on the blood right now. It was a shock, but it was also predictable. Like, when I started it and I thought, like, once it happened and I thought about it, there had been so much foreshadowing that was gonna happen. Like Feyre's painting, I was a bit like, oh, there's so many parts of this book that just ick me out. Rhys and Feyre's like pact that when one of them dies, the other dies. That was quite clever how we got like foreshadowing for that, like when Feyre told Nesta, no, when Nesta told Feyre that the baby was gonna kill her, and she looked at her tattoos, like, that foreshadowing is clever, but like it just icks me out. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, you're a High Lord and a High Lady. That's a pretty dumb pact to make. Me bawling my eyes out at Gwen and Emery's stories. Oh my god.
Do you know what time it is? I'm gonna act like you don't anyway. It's
Okay, so it has been about 2 hours actually now since I finished A Court of Silver Flames. Now, we know from what I was saying yesterday that I wasn't enjoying this book, but like all of the others, the second half had a big redemption, and I think now, you know, I've just realised that maybe it's a Sarah J Maas thing, maybe it's a thing with these series, maybe it's a thing of books with this length. Once you get past the halfway point, the plot picks up, the pacing picks up. The main thing I will say about this book in particular is it is really character driven, and I think I normally go for fantasies that are a bit more plot driven. but everything in this, like, that happens in this book is driven by character. Like, none of it, there's like a few plot points, but like the plots aren't strong in my opinion. Everything is very, very character driven, which is nice, but it's not 750 pages nice. In my opinion, if this was the same length as the first ACOTAR, it would be perfect, it would be brilliant, it would have been a 5-star read, but it wasn't. It was too long. The whole first like half of it was too repetitive, and it just knocked it down in my ratings. But yeah, I loved the female friendship in this. I think I spoke about it. I was crying by the end. So, you know, the last half, and it's the same thing that happened with Akamath. The last half saved, and to be fair, the same thing happened in the first book. The last half saves the books for me. And I think it's just something that I maybe need to remember when I next read, when either she next comes out with another book in this series or I dive into another book in the SJM universe. But let's talk through my ratings for each of the individual books. So we will start from the first one. I've got my Goodreads up, where I've got all of my ratings. I'll put my Goodreads down below as well. I only use it to rate books. So this got 3 stars. The reason I gave this 3 stars was because of just the way it read. I didn't have that much interest until we got to the under the mountain scenes, and then it was a bit more interesting, and I liked the pace that it moved at then. Before then, didn't like it, didn't buy into Tamlin and Feyre. Obviously, I know I spoke about when I was reading that, was it because I'd already knew that her and Reese were going to get together? We will never know. But yeah, 3 stars from me. So then obviously we came on to Akamath, and I gave this 3.5 stars. Again, it was just kind of the last half of it that I enjoyed. I honestly can't remember much that happens in this, other than like we find out they're mates. Feyre's mental health is really bad in the beginning. We have a lot of found family. Again, I think this is quite character driven. Something I will say, these 2 books in my opinion are just world building, the whole of these 2 books. And then we go to my favourite book in the whole entire series. I love this one. I loved it so much. A Court of Wings and Ruin. I cried so much. Yeah, I love this book. I really love this book. I gave this 4.5 stars, which is the highest I've rated any of the books of the series. I loved it. I loved what we learned about the characters. I loved the progression. I loved that we finally got plot and action. This was way more plot driven than the other books in the series, and I think that's why I liked it so much more than the rest. I love what we learned about Moore, like when Moore came out. I like when their dad comes back to try and save them, had me like bawling my eyes out, and then when he dies, like I really like this book. Yeah, I thought it was fantastic, definitely my favourite one in the series, which is closely followed by A Court of Frost and Starlight. So after reading this, I was obsessed with our characters again. I was in love with them. I really cared about them, so this was perfect. This reads, I actually wrote a review on Goodreads because it was being slated on Goodreads and I felt the need to defend it, so I will read you my review. After seeing booktubers and book talkers describe this as a Christmas episode, I went into it with those expectations, and as a result I enjoyed it. It served nicely as a filler between ACOWAR and ACOSF, and though I was yet to start ACOSF at that time, and since finishing it I definitely think it worked really well. It bridged the gap. There would have been a lot of like, this book would have had to have been even longer if this book didn't exist, so I'm glad we had this book. And it was nice to see our characters just living life after what they went through in ACOWAR. Did it feel like fan fiction in places? Absolutely. Was it a fun little read? I smashed it in a couple of hours? Absolutely. And we love collecting books to help towards the goal. I think that kind of sums up my opinion on this book. I liked it. It was just relaxed. It was nice, as I said, to just see the characters experiencing life after like all of the trauma they've gone through, especially Feyre. She goes through so much trauma in these books, and it's really nice to just see her like with a little painting studio. Like, it's so cute. And then we have A Court of Silver Flames. So my rating for this book, I've literally just rated it and I can't remember, was 3.75 stars. So I enjoyed it more than A Court of Mist and Fury, but it just didn't feel like a 4-star for me because of how much I didn't like the beginning. If this had been shorter, it would have been a 5-star read for me. I loved the Valkyries, I loved the female friendship. I've said so many times, it's something we don't really see in books. But yeah, so that is officially done with the ACOTAR series until SGM puts out another book. Will I read it? Will I not? I am still undecided. I probably will, as long as I'm still like on Book Talk and in the book world, which I don't see why I wouldn't be. But as long as I'm still like in those spaces, I will read the next one because I will get FOMO if I don't. That sums up my opinions on the ACOTAR series. Thank you for coming on this journey with me. It has been a great time and I hope you enjoyed. Please like let your frustrations out with me in the comments. Let it all out. I know this is probably gonna have some unpopular takes, but let's go for it. If you did enjoy this video, please do like, subscribe, and let me know down below if you want to see me do any more of the full spoiler vlogs for like Throne of Glass and Crescent City, because I will be reading those series probably next year at some point. I need a little bit of a break from the SGM universe right now though. But yeah, thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.